All right, well, welcome everybody. Greetings, my name's Dave Rudine. I am joined today with my friend Rich Lohman. Hello, Rich.
Hello, thank you for having me with you, you with me. Excited to
Yes,
be here, and I'm excited for everybody that's here because this is a valuable conversation that Dave and I have been preparing for. So thank you.
yeah, to that point, that's exactly what I wanted to say as we get started here, that we are both uh, deeply passionate about helping people to set goals, achieve goals, the whole process along the way. And so what we want to share today has to do with what are some of what are the importance of goals. That's one of the first things. How to set them, how to achieve them, how to maybe avoid some of the common mistakes that tend to happen. So one of the I came across this quote by Henry David Thoreau that you've heard before, and I love this. It says, "If a person will advance confidently in the direction of their dream and endeavor," meaning like even if you just try, you just give it your best shot, endeavor to live the life that you imagine, they will meet with success unexpected in uncommon hours. The beautiful part about goals is that goals are not to get. They really aren't. They're not about acquisition. It's not about getting something. We set goals in order to grow. And I think that's the picture that we want to set, even at the very beginning here, that we set goals to reach deep inside of us, to stretch us, to take us to a place that we've never been before. You set goals to grow as a human being about who we are. And there was an anonymous quote too. I don't know who said this, but I love this, that in the absence of clearly defined goals, we become strangely loyal to performing daily acts of trivia, that we just kind of keep repetitive, doing the same thing over and over. And most people don't orchestrate their own growth. They just think that time will grow them. They think over time that they'll just magically get better. And that just doesn't happen. It doesn't work that way. So we mean it when we say congratulations for taking the step just to be on this today and joining with us in this. Thanks for being here. Welcome to you. I want to turn it over to Rich to help us to get started here.
I appreciate that, Dave, and I appreciate the quotations. You guys, we're excited you're here. This is going to be real. This is going to be raw. There's going to be some stories that we're each going to share. Goals have always been something that one, I have struggled with, and two, have been important to me. This goal setting, goal achievement process, it's just been important. So when we talk about the importance of setting goals, a goal, I asked this when I was recruiting people, inviting people to come along on this goal setting journey. I asked them what they thought about goals, and I got a lot of cool answers. But for me, a goal is just defined as the result of achievement, or the result or achievement, I should say, toward which effort is directed. And I think there's no better time than right now for us to reset our minds on going after setting and achieving goals, because we've all dealt with something in the last year. Obviously, there's at the time of this recording, the elephant in the room is a pandemic. And one of the things that I heard recently, and I'm going to spend just a little bit of time sharing this, and then I'm going to jump back into this later. But if you have in any point in the last year lost a little bit of hope, if you've become a little bit of hopeless, it's okay. Me too. Anybody that has dealt with what we've dealt with in the last year, there's been an element of hopelessness, because there's a requirement. There's three requirements for hope. The first requirement is, simply put, that you have goals. You have something to look forward to in the future. The second thing that is required to have hope is that you have willpower. And we're going to talk about that in this. And then the third is that you have way power, or a plan towards the achievement of the goals. So for me, the decision to set goals is important because it impacts our lives in more ways than one. Here's what we're going to spend with in the next few slides, and the part of this process of unpacking this is, in living your life to the fullest. Dave and I are all about sharing hope, adding value so you can live your life to the fullest. Setting goals for our lives, has positive effects in these 5 areas. And you can write this down, or you can follow along on the slides, or both. But setting goals provides a sharp sense of focus. That's the first thing. The second thing is setting goals allows you to measure your progress. The third thing that we're going to talk about is setting goals blocks distractions and provides protective boundaries. And I think that's when you hear these first three, a sharp sense of focus. A lot of us have lost focus because of what's going on in our world, whether it's an election or a pandemic or anything like that. A lot of people haven't measured progress. A lot of people haven't you've been able to block out the major distraction, and actually have used social media too much, and therefore allowed too much distraction in. And the next thing that we have to say, number 4, is setting goals combats procrastination. And the last is setting goals actually gets to motivate us. So Dave, let's just unpack this for them. How does this work for us as we move forward?
You know, anytime we set goals for ourselves, that what happens is you inherently you have an end game in mind. When you set a goal, it what it does is you get a picture of where you're trying to go, and it shifts your behaviors. It shifts your thoughts because you're picturing something down the road, and so you start to take certain steps toward achieving that, toward getting what you want. And as you do that, what happens is you gradually begin to pick up momentum. That's that Henry David Thoreau quote, that just says, when you advance confidently in the direction of your dreams, that you meet with unexpected success at uncommon hours. That when you start moving in that, it starts picking up momentum, and it becomes kind of addictive. That you start getting these little wins under your belt. So that's the power of it. It keeps us focused. And as you progress, as you get closer to that goal, there's something physiological that happens. Scientists have figured out that when you get close toward achieving a goal, your brain releases the chemical that you've probably heard of, dopamine, that it is tied to the reward pleasure center of our brain. There's something addictive about that. There's something rewarding about that. And it motivates you even more to take further steps, to keep on going toward whatever it is that you're going for. Your in this case, your goal. And it becomes like that flywheel that just starts picking up momentum. That's the power of focus.
That's awesome. Now, Dave, I'm gonna this is gonna get interactive, so I want you to pay attention to the chat. Thank you to Lee, who already put something in the chat box. The first thing that I want us to put in the chat, while I go to the next conversation or slide of the 5 points, I'd love everybody to just maybe put a comment in the chat, and Dave, you can monitor it.
Sure.
Did we, can you just say, I lost focus this year, or I didn't lose focus? Because here's the thing. I have a buddy that shared with me today that he reached his goal today, and his goal was 50 pounds weight loss in 2020, and he couldn't lose focus or else he wouldn't have got there. So in the chat box, if you guys don't mind, be a little vulnerable, help us help you. Share with us, did you lose focus in 2020 of what your goals were, and did that leave you coming up short of your goals as we end or come close to the end of the year? So part of that, as you guys go ahead and comment, is understanding that we have to sift through, how does goal setting allow you to measure your progress? When you set a goal, you're going to have to develop a plan. This is the key to this thing, you guys, is a plan, and then you have to abide by the plan. And if you want to get what you want, you're going to have to set the intention, create the plan, and follow the plan, and see which step you're on. It just kind of makes sense. It's kind of like having a GPS. If you don't know what the goal is, if you don't know where you're at in your life, we did a webinar a month ago that you guys are going to get access to. Even if you missed the webinar, we're going to give you how to do a life audit webinar, because it's going to help you turn on your GPS to where you're at in your life. But now we're asking you to shoot to the future, to use your imagination, to set intention on what you want the end of 2021 perhaps to look like. And then we're going to help you, you're going to help yourself to create a plan. Measuring your gradual progress allows you to see how far you've come. And this part of the process is incredibly motivating and very encouraging, because then it keeps you on track. Like Dave said, it's the dopamine, it's the release. As you set goals and you progress, you learn various methods. And I think this is the key, like being transparent. One of my goals in a program we have called Passport to Growth, I wanted 2,000 people in the program. And it's interesting, over the last year, we've inched, I say inched closer to that, because we've added people to the program. It's something that my wife, Lee, and Dave and I facilitate growth in. We've inched closer to that, but we're so far away from 2000. But we have learned and evolved, and we wouldn't have learned, we wouldn't have evolved, we wouldn't have added things to that program had we not started to measure where we're at, what was working, what wasn't working. So that's a big part of, allowing yourself to grow in the journey, is to measure your progress and stop and ask reflective questions. The ability to measure your progress is a skill that's going to serve you in every area of your life. So we want to make sure that that's part of who you become in this goal setting.
It's interesting just reading some of the chat notes here. Obviously, a lot of us everything's been upset with COVID and just everything uncertain, and it becomes very distracting, and it does often move us off course, or it slows us down, or it stops us from the goals that we've been trying to do. So let's talk about blocking. How do we block distractions going forward? Because when you block distractions, it not only helps you to achieve your goal sooner, if you can stay focused on these things, but it helps you to develop a needed discipline of self-discipline, which is a needed asset that we all have to have, a critical life skill that we need in our lives. And so when you can learn how to keep that end game in mind, and you're determined to get to that finish line, what happens is it actually, again, that flywheel, it starts to become easier and easier to avoid the things that will steer you off course. So oftentimes we steer off course is because we aren't staying focused on, we don't have a clear picture about where it is that we're trying to go. Now, if you've ever struggled with blocking those distractions on your way toward achieving your goal, which I'm looking at the notes, many of us have had this issue going on. And let me give you just a couple maybe helpful tips about how do you stay focused. First thing is, I would say, is focus on just 2 or 3 important tasks at a time. That's a critical thing. A lot of times we just bite off way more than we can chew. We try to do too much at once. And so if you can narrow it down to 1 or 2 or 3 things that will help you, that keeps us from getting overwhelmed. So the question I often ask people is, what are the 2 or 3 things that if you focused on them over the next 2 or 3 months or over this next year, that will get you where you want to be, that will make the biggest impact, and you start focusing on those 2 or 3 things. So just kind of narrow it down that way. Then the other idea, just a practical thing, is to break it down. Maybe you've done this, is to break down your goal in segments and break it down into little parts, rather than trying to tackle one huge thing all at once. Break it down into little bits, because distractions often creep up and they often take us off track when we're not 100% focused on the task at hand. And so focusing on smaller segments can help with that. Now, the other idea is providing boundaries. You want to have like guardrails in your life that will keep you on track. It's another vital life skill. Setting goals helps to do that. It helps you to kind of put up those barriers that keep you moving forward. They incentivize you to help you to know what are the things that you say yes to and what are the things that you say no to. When you've got clearly established goals and you stay focused on them and you're taking them bite-sized, little bites at a time, sometimes people get so overwhelmed and they so get carried away with doing everything all at once that they end up burning out. They're just trying to do it all. They got all these different goals, all these different objectives. And burnout is ultimately one one of the biggest deterrents to attaining our goals. People say, some people I know that are highly ambitious, high achievers, they say, yeah, but I'd rather burn out than rust out. I don't want to just be sitting back. But the problem with that is, either way, whether you burn out or you rust out, either way, you're out. And that's what we want to try to avoid. It is to allow these things to just shut you down and paralyze you. Now, some people don't like to talk about boundaries because they want to think that I want to keep my options open. I don't want to be closed off to any opportunities that come. They don't want to be tied down by boundaries or by commitments. But I'm telling you, because they think that may keep them from achieving ultimately what they want to do. But actually the opposite is true. When you have boundaries, when you have commitments and things that keep you on track, it actually helps you to get better and more effective at achieving your goals. So boundaries and keeping free from distractions is a huge part of helping you get to your goal.
That's awesome, Dave. When you were saying that, I was thinking about something just real quick. The root of distraction. I heard this said once upon a time, and I can't get this out of my own head, so I want to share it with you guys. Maybe it's in your head too. Is the root of distraction is dragged apart. So when we're trying to focus on something and we're dragged apart from that focus, that just is part of what it is, that thing that gets in our way, slows us down, or all but stops us. The other thing that you said that I loved, which was boundaries. When everything is a priority, nothing is a priority. So you have to put up the nose and the boundaries to be able to get there. Now, the next thing that we have to talk about it, and I want this to light up in the chat box too. Who struggles in their own personal world with procrastination? Just put, that's me. Just put it in the chat box, because I want to see if we're right. I believe we're right. I've struggled with procrastination. Dave, you've struggled with procrastination.
Yeah, I was going to put that in the chat box, but I figure I'll do it later.
Amen. I appreciate you. So procrastination is a plight that we know that many people struggle with in all aspects of their lives. Thankfully, setting goals effectively combats this most common ailment. So here's the thing. I just want to get real and get honest with us. If we set goals and we have the programming to review our goals, what we're saying is that it will hopefully prevent us from procrastination. Now, the reason I said hopefully, and I said it twice, I told you guys the little story at the beginning where John Maxwell said that hope has 3 requirements: goals, willpower, and way power. The way power is called the plan. Setting goals and striving towards achieving them innately increases your willpower. When your willpower is stronger, procrastination becomes weaker. So there's that thing that kicks inside of us that prevents from procrastination happening. When willpower is this big, huge thing inside of you, and it's combined with your desired end game, though, that Dave was talking about, when you can visualize and focus on that end game, put up the boundaries and will it to happen, then it makes staying the course, it makes doing the activities a little easier. Now, I'm not going to say that we love every activity. I'm not going to say that, but willpower helps us do activities we don't love. So that's where we have to get into, not wasting time and not, paying attention to things we don't like, but willing things to happen. The very best remedies. I know this chat is exploding, Dave. You can talk to us about it. The best remedy for procrastination is a combination of motivation and willpower. So just jump into motivation for us.
Yeah, so there's something about setting goals that is innately just exciting. It's motivational. It makes us want to take on new challenges, things. It gives us something to strive toward. It gives us something to achieve, and that drive and that energy and that passion comes with setting goals and achieving goals. That's what gives you the strength to avoid the distractions that we're talking about. But when you buy into that and you set a goal, not just something that you know that you can do without even blinking, without even thinking about it, but something that really stretches you, that's what gives you the energy and the drive and the passion to stay within those boundaries, to stay distraction free, to avoid those obstacles, to overcome any difficulties that come. Say, okay, COVID, bring it on. Okay, whatever challenges I've got, financial issues, relational issues, people issues, world issues, political issues, you overcome those challenges and those distractions by staying focused on the goal. Being motivated, it also means taking action. So we're talking about moving forward, never giving up. And all in all, the setting goals is inherently motivational. If you're lacking the motivation, then set those goals. Set those big, hairy, audacious goals that are going to move you forward, because it compels you toward the finish line. It's partly because it answers that question of why. When you have a goal attached to your why, that's what keeps you motivated. You know, this is why I want to get there. This is why this is important to me. That motivating why will keep you moving forward toward your goal.
Now, okay, Dave. So here we are. We got a bullseye. We've just said focus, measurement, and progress. We just said block out those distractions and those put up productive boundaries. Avoid procrastination and find your motivation. Now, you guys, it really comes down to two things. You just being real. You only have two options now that you know some of the components. You're either going to go with option one, put the work in to set and achieve your goals, or option two, don't put the work in to set and achieve your goals. That's it. It's either, if you don't, you might find yourself slipping back into hopelessness. If you do, you can fight for hope for the future that you're looking for. Each option, let's just be real. Your setting goals is your responsibility. My setting goals is my responsibility. I want to cheer you on and I want you to cheer me on, but each option, do it or don't do it, comes with consequences. Sadly, most people, I feel, settle for option two of, I don't want to set them, I don't want to work towards them, because it's comfortable. It's your comfort zone. It's easier. What's the old saying, Dave? About knowing the enemy. Lack of fulfillment is the enemy, but at least I know it. The unknown of going after something that I've never achieved. Oh, that's uncomfortable. That's scary. That's called growth. So the fact that you're here, though, you guys, I appreciate that you're here. I can't lose sight of that. You're here because you want option one. And I think you want it as much as I want it, as much as I want it for you. I want it, for Dave. But as we go further, we're going to start sharing creative and strategic ways and tips now of how you can successfully attain your goals. We've just laid the foundation. So what we're going to do next is we're going to talk about common mistakes that people make, because again, if you're going to set the goals, we want you to avoid the mistakes. Our mentors have shared some amazing stuff with us. Now we're going to start sharing some hopefully amazing stuff for you guys.
Yeah, according to the website Life Hack, there are 4 common mistakes, 4 common reasons why people fall short of their goals. And I don't know if any one of these things, if you're brave enough and you want to say that these apply to me, but let me just give them to you right now if you want to jot these down. Some of them you've maybe have heard. Number one is that the goal is not specific enough. Many of you, if you've ever done any kind of goal setting, you've heard the acronym SMART. You need to set SMART goals. That means that they need to be specific, they need to be measurable, they need to be achievable, they need to be relevant. I would say relevant to your why, and they need to have a time element to them. So, in that, for instance, you can't just have a general goal. It just says, I want to make more money. Well, yeah, everybody wants to make more money, but what's going to drive you forward, and how are you going to know when you did that, and how can you be more specific? So rather than saying, I want to make more money, if you said, I want to make $50,000 by the end of the year, by the end of 2020, I want to make an additional $50,000, whatever. That's a much better, obviously more specific goal. But that's a key reason why a lot of people don't achieve their goals, is they're not specific. Second one is, we've already talked about it a little bit, is they procrastinate, is they put off later on, and sometimes the best thing that you can do when you set a goal is to work toward it immediately. Just start in on it immediately. I know we get sidetracked and we put other things off. And the other thing I think that we fall victim to sometimes is it's why people hate Mondays. We say, well, I'll start this on Monday. Here we are recording this on a Thursday. And some of you may say, well, I'm going to set this goal, but I'm going to start it on Monday, or I'm going to wait till the first of the year, to New Year's, to do it, or I'm going to wait till the beginning of the next quarter to do it, or whatever that is. Why not start on it now? Why do you have to wait until a Monday or the beginning of the year or the beginning of a month or beginning of the quarter? Start on it now. The law of diminishing return says that the longer you wait to take action, the less likely you are to ever take action. So procrastination is a huge problem. The third reason why people don't reach their goals is they let the naysayers get to them. They let the critics get into their head. There's a phrase that I heard years ago, and it just says that motion causes friction, and talking about organizational change and talking about dealing with progressing and going forward. Motion causes friction, and people oftentimes around us would rather bring you down to their level than to try to rise up to your level. So it's easier for people to slow you down or stop you or get in the way or criticize what you're doing because you're moving forward, rather than them to come along with you and say, you know what, that's great, I want to go too. Those people that doubt your ability to successfully execute your plans can take you off track and get you and keep you from reaching your goals. So you got to rise above the criticism, and you got to stick with what you believe in. You got to listen to yourself. Listen, it's easier said than done. I'll be the first to admit that. But in the end, it comes down to your choice. It comes down to your willpower. Are you going to listen to the critics? Or are you going to listen to that belief inside of you that says, this is what I want, this is where I'm going? And actually, a fourth obstacle is tied to that. People don't reach their goals is because of the poor company that they keep. You maybe heard that we are the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. The 5 people around us most have a lot to say in the impact. They have a lot of impact in our lives. So when you're striving toward achieving a goal, you have to surround yourself with like-minded people that want to take the next step, people that want to grow, people that want to encourage you along those lines. So while poor company can hold you back, surrounding yourself with the right people can actually maximize your success.
Yeah, man, so much to unpack there, Dave. Really, to succeed, we've got a quote for you guys. To succeed in your mission, you must have single-minded devotion to your goal. Now, that comes from, as you guys can see, from the screen as you're here with us, APJ Abdul Kalam. Let's decide who that is. Back in the early 2000s, there was a gentleman. Dave, am I frozen? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, your screen froze. I wanted to make sure I was okay. But the person is the president of India from 2002 to 2007. This Abdul Kalam, and that was his single-minded focus, was on making India a better country in the world through people setting goals and their devotion to their goals. Now, this isn't an uncommon thing about to succeed in mission. We did the webinar on how to do a life audit, and we taught about how to build your mission statements. And I'm going to say that we can share that with each and every one of you, because if you need something before the mission, or before goal setting, then it's to find your life audit and create your mission and really absorb yourself in your core values. But I'll leave you with this. Napoleon Hill wrote in the book Think and Grow Rich in 1934 that if you're going to succeed in your mission, you have to have a mind closed tightly to all negative influences, including that of associates, family members, friends. And you have to open your mind to one or more people that are going to help you achieve your goal, your mission. So with that, Dave.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about get on the positive side of this. What can you do to accomplish your goals? What can you do to get creative, maybe even with this? So if you want to jot some of these down, here's the first thing I'd say, is that the most creative and the most powerful way to accomplish your goal is to visualize it, to see it in your mind's eye. Believe it or not, your actions greatly depend on your thoughts and what's happening up here first. What actually takes place is dependent on what happens up here. Think about an architect. You know, an architect has to see the building before it gets down on paper, before it can actually be built into a building. An athlete visualizes crossing the line long before they even get into the stadium and put on their uniform and get ready to run, before they lace up. They visualize it. If you've ever watched the Winter Olympics and you've watched the giant slalom and you watch the skiers, oftentimes they'll show them before they even put their skis on. They're off to the side and they got their eyes closed, but they're visualizing, and they're visualizing every turn and every bump and every hill and every obstacle that's coming. They visualize themselves making a clean run long before they even get onto the hill. So visualizing it always helps to achieve what you want to get the outcomes that you want to achieve. Here's the second thing, is to speak with conviction when you're talking about your goals. Don't be wishy-washy. Don't talk in terms of, oh, I hope this can happen, or I want this to happen, or I wish this would happen, or wouldn't it be great if this happened? Instead, think in terms of, I will do this when this happens. Not saying, can I do this, but how can I do this? And how can I make this happen? That's a key thing. I think there's so much power in our words. I don't think we give enough credit to the words that we speak, how important that is. And I think if we spoke to other people the way we often speak to ourselves, I think they would lock us up and throw away the key for abuse. Because I think sometimes we allow our negative self-talk to talk us out of things, and it gets in the way. So on the flip side of that, speak with conviction about yourself. I've already talked about number 3. The third thing is break your goal down into sub-goals. One of the biggest enemies of achievement is this feeling of just being overwhelmed, that we just say, oh, it's just too much, it's too big. Well, of course, the classic phrase, how do you eat an elephant? One bite if you want to eat an elephant, one bite at a time. You just take one bite at a time. If you want to achieve some kind of lofty goal, try breaking it down into parts and say, all right, this is what I want to do, but here's what I'm going to do. Here's the goals that I want to do along the way. And you tackle them a little bit at a time. And not only does this keep you from getting burned out trying to get to the big goal, but it helps you to track progress along the way. And those little wins start to add up. They start to add up along the way.
Yeah, right on, right on. So like Dave, you were saying it, I've never seen a downhill racer. I've never seen a downhill racer that went through the visualization at the top and then kept going through the visualization at the top. Eventually, you can see them rocking back and forth, and then there's a beep at the, like their legs are at the gate, and that beep is there. And then when it goes beep, then they head on down the hill, and everybody screams, go, 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 go. Well, that's because the race began. And as much and as powerful as visualization is, many people set goals, and they set them with the right intention. They're super motivated. Goal setting day was awesome. I just feel so good about goal setting day. And then they get invigorated by the possibility of what will happen, like the outcome of, oh my gosh, when I achieve this goal, I'm going to feel so amazing about myself. And they're so eager to start. And then people, that little snap judgment, that small little thing where people get petrified, frozen by fear of, what if I fail? What if I succeed? What if, all of a sudden, what has happened is they start thinking about all the ramifications, all the possibilities, and it freezes them into not taking action. So the single most important step in goal setting is to make sure that we transition to taking action. We have to begin literally just starting the process. Just starting the process will increase your chances for success.
Mm-hmm.
No, look, don't get me wrong. There have been many other factors that we can touch on shortly about this, but I just want to emphasize how important it is to begin. Dave said it a little bit earlier. Just we think about it, we think about it, we think about it. But here's my recommendation for this minute is make a decision. You're right there. You've set your goal. Make the decision. What is your goal? Declare it out loud. Dave, I'm declaring it out loud yet again to you. We will get to 2,000 members in Passport to Growth as a tribe that is growing and thriving, right? And I'm like, I want to scream it at the top of the rooftops because I want to put some conviction behind it. The second thing that we have to do after we say it out loud is we have to grab a pen and paper. I want you guys to do this as soon as possible because this is the action step. I need you to write down your goal 5 times. I will get to 2,000 members. We will get to 2,000 members. We will get to 2,000 members because there's something that's happening inside of the internal. But if you don't say your goal out loud and you don't write it down, the next thing, if you don't pick up the phone and call 3 people. See, you guys, I have the advantage and disadvantage of having the microphone right now. I'm in charge a little bit. So I'm saying it out loud and I'm calling 50 people right now and saying, hey, you guys, I just have to tell you, I need you to hold me accountable. We're going to make it to 2,000 members in Passport to Growth. And then the 4th step in it is to share the next step right here, Dave. You go for it.
All right. So here, if you're ready, if you're ready to lose weight, if you're ready to make more money, if you're ready to buy that new car, if you're ready to start that new relationship,
get 2,000 members.
If you're ready to get 2,000 members, if you're ready to pay off that debt, here's what I would tell you. Do not have a backup plan. In the immortal words of the great Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will Smith, here's what he said. I think this is a great quote. It's a challenge. I want to challenge you with this. He said, there's no reason to have a plan B because it only distracts from plan A. See, a lot of people, they do their goal setting and they just play it safe. They want to play it safe because they're afraid of missing the mark. Yeah, but what if we don't get 2,000? What if I don't lose that weight? What if I don't make that money? What if I don't reach that mountaintop? What if I don't get that goal? My challenge to you is to have one plan. And that plan is success. That's it. That's your plan. This is what I am going to do. So if your goal is to lose 35 pounds before you go on vacation, before you take that trip, don't have a plan B that says, well, if I lose 20 pounds, that's okay. No, that's the plan B. Don't let that get in the way. If your goal is to make an extra $20,000 this next year, don't say, yeah, okay, well, if I only made 15, that's fine. Don't have a plan B. Have only a plan A. This is that do whatever it takes, having the do whatever it takes mentality, having a tunnel vision on your desired outcome. You are focused on that. You're not focused on plan B or plan C or the what ifs. You are focused on one thing. And don't let yourself stop. Don't even take a day off until you hit your goal. And then there's something really important that you got to do. It's really fun. I'm going to give it back to Rich to tell you about this.
It's time to party. I love this. I love this. So we have to celebrate the successes. We're putting in the work to set the goal. We're starting, and we're friction. Motion causes friction, as Dave said. We've burned the bridges where there's no backup plan. We're going forward. So when we make milestones, the objective is to celebrate. Make the journey filled with recognition. Here, Ben Renshaw, who is the director of the Happiness Project and Success Intelligence, says this about this party thing is on average by the age of 18, we will have been praised and encouraged 30,000 times in our life by 18. And most of this is by the age 3. Somewhere along the way, we stopped celebrating. I can't tell you guys. I wish I could show you. This isn't part of this. This happened this morning. But I told, on behalf of my friend Chad, God bless him. He told me this morning, and another thing that I do in the thought of the day, he said, I achieved my goal of losing 50 pounds this year. I went ahead and shared with this group of guys, all high school friends. I shared with them. I'm like, did you guys know that Chad Carney lost 50 pounds? And then I screenshot what everybody did to him and how it made Chad feel. Part of that is the motivation to keep going, to keep it off and to do everything is the celebration of how people feel about us, how we feel about ourselves. But neglecting to celebrate your successes can cause you to slowly and subconsciously start to take a negative view of your accomplishments. That's real. That's part of the reason why goals don't always work for people is they don't celebrate. They start to take on this negative view. When you focus on what you haven't accomplished, again, we said earlier, focus on what you want, not on what you don't want. When you slip into focusing on what you haven't accomplished and how hard it is, you are less likely to stay on task and complete your goals. That's why so many people lose, that momentum right away. Okay, I began. I'm so excited. Oh, this is so hard. And they're not even celebrating starting. So I want to have a party today, Dave. For me, the good news is that celebrating your accomplishments, this is huge. Celebrating your accomplishments can be a boost to your confidence. Now, I know statistics. Dave, you and I do this, DISC behavioral style thing. We understand who the confident people of the world are, the not confident people. I want our participants to jump in, just on a scale of 1 to 10. What I want you to, 1, I'm not a very confident person towards achieving goals, or 10, I'm very confident. What would you rate yourself? Go ahead and jump in our chat right now and just tell us, what would you rate yourself when it comes to confidence? Because what we want to do is figure out how to help you boost your confidence. And some of it is just through encouragement, through recognition and celebration partying. Mm. So what is your first milestone? This is a real question. As you're setting goals, you need to ask yourself the question, what is the first milestone that I will celebrate? And you need to ask yourself the secondary question, how am I going to celebrate?
Yeah, just please tell me, Rich, you didn't celebrate with your friend by taking him out for ice cream. That's all I'm asking you.
No, I didn't. All
right. But, listen, yeah, that's awesome. Think about, I think you got to get specific about that, about what is it that you're going to celebrate when you reach those milestones, that you're going to go out to lunch, that you're going to take a day off, you're going to buy that new shirt, you're going to take a little trip. Well, it doesn't have to be a big thing, but a little thing, and be specific about it. And when you reach those little milestones, I think that's a great motivator going forward. But beyond that, I'm looking at the chat and I'm looking just the whole principle of the chat, the idea of all of you jumping in and sharing your thoughts, sharing your journey, sharing some of where you're at, being vulnerable that way. That's the power of community. That's the power of not trying to do this on your own. I'm a huge advocate for doing things like this and sharing goals and doing them together. Because what happens is when left to our own, we're human beings, and left to our own devices, you know what we usually do when things get tough? We bail, we quit. Because there's nobody cheering us on. There's nobody pulling us forward. There's nobody lifting us up when we start to fall down. If you're looking for somebody, or you're looking for a place to hold you accountable, to cheer you on, I'm going to say this for myself. I'm going to speak even on behalf of Rich. It would be our honor to be able to do that for you and with you, and to be a part of this journey with you. Even better than you just do that with me or with Rich, that we all do this together. And so I'd love for you to post, what are your top goal? What's your top goal? If you know what that is already, would you be willing to just put it in the chat and just say, hey, listen, this is what I'm going for. This is what I'm thinking about right now. This is my goal. This is my action step. Maybe that's what it is. What's your action step? And maybe you want to put that in there. but experience a part of this community. That's what he's mentioned about Passport to Growth, and it's something that we've done over the last couple of years now, and we're coming in on our 100th lesson, our 100th time of adding value to one another and other people. And it's a community. This Passport to Growth, this is why we started it. It's a community of like-minded people focused on personal growth and professional growth, and cheering one another on, and challenging one another, and encouraging each other toward the goals that we want to achieve. And so that we have that weekly teaching time and coaching sessions. They're all designed to facilitate a community toward more effective leadership of ourselves. So, Rich, take us to the end here. Take us over the finish line here.
Yeah, well, the community of support is important. If it's not Passport to Growth, you need to know that you're 5 people. Again, Dave said it earlier. You become the sum of the 5. You become the sum of the 5 people closest to you. So, are they there to support you and encourage you? If not, find a new group. If you'd like to join with us in our group, again, we're going to 2,000 people. Like, we're going to be world changers, and that's fun for us. But the next part of it is, after you look for support from people to help you and encourage you, is build your goal setting arsenal. There's things that I need you to go get if you don't have them. It just, to get yourself in the right frame of mind, you need tools. So number 1 is get a journal. I have a journal in my iPad. I have a journal in my phone that I do use. And I would love to share with you guys my daily thoughts for the entire year of 2020. I talk about them in my own personal business page, Woohooing, but now it's part of a journal that is there to continue getting me forward. We have other tools that Dave and I give to people that are daily activity records. I call mine my daily Woohooing. We have these wheels of career and wheel of life that we give to people so that they can measure their progress, because we said that if you got a plan, you need something to measure the progress. So that's part of our goal setting, and part of our arsenal is to have a journal and have the right tools in place. The next thing is we need reading material. I believe it. You could do a simple Google search on books that will help you. I'm going to give you just what I think are my 3 best books to help me grow into the goals that I want. The first one that I've probably read this book 25 times in the last 10 years. And it's that important to me. I teach from it. So that's why I have to, read it so many times. Maybe I'm a slow learner. I don't know, Dave, but 15 Laws of Growth by John Maxwell is my go-to resource when I need to read, when I need to get something that's going to help me move towards my goals. The second one is High Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard. And that has helped me, on a large scale, to create habits that are conducive to me achieving goals. And the third one is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I referenced it earlier. I don't think there's a better goal setting, growth setting book than Think and Grow Rich, because it is written on the foundation of what made people rich back in the 1920s and 1930s, and they still apply today. The other thing that we could talk about is like downloading things that are apps that are going to help you. There's an app called Strides. There's an app called Way of Life. There's an app called Goals on Track. And the fourth thing that's got to be, Dave, it is so important. It is so important to the goal setting process. And this one, it's a tool, and it's to believe. The most important resource you can have and need is to believe in yourself, to believe deeply that you can do, that you are worthy of the goals you set. You shouldn't challenge whether you're worthy of achieving the goal. You should challenge, is this goal worthy of who I am?
All right, so I want to ask one more time in the chat. I want you just to write a word. How are you feeling right now? Are you feeling inspired? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Are you feeling scared? Are you feeling like you're ready to move forward? that's more than one word, but you get what I'm saying. I want you to put it in the chat. Just give an idea, because listen, here's whatever, I want you to get in touch with how you're feeling right now. And I want you to just, it's okay. Because the idea is those feelings that you have can be the incentive for you to creatively set and to creatively find ways to achieve your goal, while trying to avoid the common mistakes where you're getting specific about these things. So setting goals is a deeply significant act. It's a deeply significant thing in anybody's life to do that will impact your life, not just for a season, but truly for the rest of your life. It really can impact you for the rest of your life. So as we've said, if you need, and you will need, ongoing support on this, I just want you to hear us. We're here to support you. We are here to help you with that. So I appreciate you all being here, but this is just the beginning.
Yeah, this is the only beginning. Did you steal my line?
Oh, that just came to me off the top of my head.
It's funny. So this is only the beginning, you guys. Thank you for taking the time. Again, thank you for being vulnerable and sharing with us, because we want to know who we're going to help. We want to know that we can help you. You can help us. Together we are better. Nothing of significance can ever be done alone. So goals are really important to me. Again, I told that story early on, and I my word for the year, me personally, my word is hope. Dave has given me the ability to put a word before it that said share hope. Part of this is sharing hope with you guys, because it's required to have hope for 2021 being better than 2020, or any period of time being better than the previous period of time. You have to have goals. You're going to have willpower, and you're going to have way power. So one of the things that, again, without pressure, I want to talk to you about is our Passport to Growth program. Our Passport to Growth program is the way. It combines you setting goals, us being supportive to you, and growth lessons that we frame your thinking around. How do you use this lesson to move towards your goals? It's a group that celebrates each other. It's a group that encourages each other. We were just celebrating that one of our participants in our program, she became a grandma last night. We're like, woohoo, this is so cool. But we want to invite you in. If you're not in our program, and if there's people that are in the program, Passport to Growth, that are here, just share in the chat real quick what you think about the program. Let your words speak louder than mine or Dave's. But if you do sign up for the Passport to Growth, it's only $49 a month. If you do a one pay, all pay, and an investment in yourself, there's a reduction in the cost. It's $500 just for all of the next year. And we'll throw in a disc report. That's a $50 value. We'll throw in the life audit resource kit, which is not just the life audit recording of an hour and 2 minutes, but giving you the tool to write down everything about what your life is like and what you want it to become, so that you can get better at setting the goals. So my encouragement is, if you go to, actually tomorrow, Dave, we'll send out a link today, tomorrow, to the participants of the goal setting, saying, here's the link to sign up for Passport to Growth. We'll send it to you guys in an email. So with that, this is only the beginning. This is only the starting point of all of this. And me personally, this is the last thing I'm going to say. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for investing in yourself. There is no greater investment. So I appreciate you.
Let me just close with just a couple quotes. Going back, Jim Rohn said, you cannot change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction overnight. And I think that's the power of what goals are. And then remember what Henry David Thoreau said: if a person will advance confidently in the direction of their dream and endeavor to live the life that you imagined, they will meet with success unexpected in uncommon hours. Listen, we are here cheering you on for your success, and we are here to support you any way and in every way that we possibly can. But thank you so much for joining us here today.
All right. Thanks, Dave. You guys have a great day, and we will see you in another free webinar. Take care.